Welcome back, YouTube family. It's been a minute. I miss going live. I miss talking to all of you. Ew, Leah, like, can you not? Sorry for anybody who saw that. It is what it is. So, today, if you are a reality TV fan, it's basically like a holiday for us. Why? Because we've got Selling Sunset Season 8. We've got a new show, The Anonymous, on Peacock. We have the premiere of what is it called? Not Secret Life of the American Teenager. Nah. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We have that show that just came out. So I'm going to be getting into all of it. I'm probably going to be fidgeting with myself here because, like I said, it's been a while since I've done a live. So my apologies. But I've watched the first 4 episodes of Selling Sunset, and I can honestly say that there was so much to digest, so much to break down. So I'm going to be recapping those first 4 episodes. Oh, Tell Me Lies Season 2 is also out. I will be doing separate lives for the different shows just so that things don't get confusing and they don't get chaotic. So if you watch Tell Me Lies Season 2, I'm going to be recapping that. I'm also going to be recapping Secret Life of Mormon Wives, which is a mouthful for me to say. So if you hear me referencing it as Hulu Housewives, just know that that's the show. Without further ado, let's get into the tea. So I have my notes up here. I'm pretty confident that everybody can still see me. So let's get into it. Starting with episode 1. Episode 1 is called The Girls Are Back in Town. And the episode starts with Chriselle and Jason going to look at a $38 million listing. It's been a while since I've watched Selling Sunset, so I kind of forgot how lavish these listing prices are. But when I heard $38 million listing, I was like, okay, so we're back to Selling Sunset. And this house was like really interesting. I am a sucker for the real estate, so I am going to be talking about the like houses as we see them. This one was really interesting. It was very niche. There was a hidden room in it. I can't say that this house appeals to like everybody. Like I said, it was very niche. But even if the buyers are fake on Selling Sunset, we at least know that the houses are real. So that's a part that I'm always going to enjoy. As they are leaving this listing, the client invites Chriselle to come to her home that she needs to sell, which is over $20 million. It's a $20 million plus listing, and basically giving Chriselle the opportunity to sell her house for her. After this, the episode goes to Mary's house, and we see Mary host like some sort of spray tan charcuterie day with Amanza and Nicole. Now, this is where the drama starts unfolding immediately with Mary. Mary says she does not want peace with Chelsea in the office. They were talking about wanting peace, and she was like, well, guess I want peace with everybody in the office except for Chelsea, it seems. And then we find out that she did an entire content day with Brie where they answered questions on social media. On Instagram, you know, that you can say like, ask me a question. And one of the questions asked them who is the biggest pot stirrer in the office. And Mary and Brie took it upon themselves to answer this question. Now, we don't know what Brie's answer was, but Mary's answer was Chelsea. And we find out later on in the episodes that Mary's alleged reasoning behind this is because she thought that Chelsea was talking shit about Emma. But really, Mary just seems to have an issue with Chelsea, which is I'm going to get into throughout this entire recap. And I just want to point out that by answering the question, who's the biggest pot stirrer in the office, Mary is self-labeling herself as the biggest pot stirrer, because if you weren't intending to stir the pot, you wouldn't answer this question. Like, period, end of story. That would be a wrap right there. So you are already the biggest pot stirrer in the office, Mary. We know that. And then Mary tells the girls that Chelsea texted her and confronted her about this social media. Don't worry if you're late. I'm just starting. I'm on episode 1 of the Selling Sunset Season 8 recap. So Mary tells the girls that Chelsea texted her, confronted her, and in Mary's very white woman words, she's like, she told me she's going to full on come at me, like fully attack me. It's okay. Mary needs to educate herself and become literate upon words that you shouldn't use to describe Black women, because that was a huge microaggression, if not outright just a macroaggression. Chelsea in no way attacked you. To be clear, Mary attacked Chelsea's character and assassinated her character on a public platform. And Chelsea was responding to that and addressing the situation. So Mary has a very delusional idea of what really went down between them. But nonetheless, she proceeds to tell Amanza and tell Nicole, that Chelsea was attacking her. And she claims that it was inappropriate for Chelsea to text her. But yet she doesn't grasp the fact that as someone we saw you act as an acting manager in prior seasons. It's not inappropriate for you to be answering question online and causing tensions in the office. Make that make sense. It doesn't. So she gives them this like long-winded thing. And basically, this is when I knew that Mary was going to piss me off. I think we also find out that Romaine texted Chelsea as well, which was also inappropriate, because not only does your husband insert himself later on in this show in person when he didn't need to be there, but why is he texting Chelsea? Why is he texting Chelsea? I found that so inappropriate and crossing the line. Chelsea had a very proper reaction, and it's not up to Mary or any white woman to judge Chelsea's reaction. So Mary should be aware of that. So then we go back to the office. And we hear Emma talk about how she put in an offer for her client on a listing for $24 million. I'm trying to keep note of who's selling what, just because sometimes we get to the end of the season and I'm like, wow, this person had a lot of big opinions for selling nothing that we saw during the show. So in this first episode, we meet new cast member, Alana. I think her name was Alana Gold, which is sounds like a name that they would write in the book, like 50 Shades of Grey. It sounds like it's like straight out of a novel. So we meet Alana Gold. She's new to the Oppenheim group. And I was a little bit unsure about Alana at first, but I actually really enjoy her. Granted, I'm only on episode 4, but she seems to stay not problematic, keep her head down. And I enjoy that about her. So we meet Alana. She allegedly has a successful and established background. Even from hearing how she handled her sales pitch for the Manhattan Beach listing, I believe that. Whereas opposed to there are other cast members. I forget what the girl's name is, but on Selling OC, we had a cast member brought on and she didn't know anything. She was brand new to real estate. So at least Alana has been working in real estate. Kept getting Alana and Amanda confused. Totally understandable. There's lots of A's. And every time I type Amanza in my notes too, it corrects to Amanda. So I have to tell myself, keep on track. It's Amanza. So basically Chelsea has to prove, this is what happens in this episode, prove that she's the queen of Manhattan Beach in order to get the listing that she deserved anyways. She's the one who lives in Manhattan Beach. She knows the neighborhoods. She knows the clients. And yet she has to prove herself. I find this so annoying. Not only do they do this on Selling Sunset OC, but they also do this on the show Making Manhattan. They do it to I think her name is Trisha. They do it to Trisha. I find this gatekeeping and holding Black women specifically to a higher expectation very annoying that we see played out with no question and no clap back to the men making these decisions, which would be Ryan Serhant and Brett and Jason. So she has to prove that she is the rightful person to get this listing when she should have been given it anyways. And it's a 6-bedroom, I think it was 9-bath, $29.9 million listing. So basically, Jason and Brett decide that all of the agents are going to go see the listing, and the owner will pick a couple of agents that him and his wife liked best to pick up the listing. Now, ultimately, this boils down to Chelsea, Mary, and Alana, who have the opportunity to pitch themselves to the people who own this house to try to get the listing. And we see them all go about things in a really different fashion. Basically, Chelsea talks about the neighborhood. She brings printed marketing materials so they would know what their house would be marketed like when Oppenheim Group takes over their listing. So she provides like reference material, physical stuff to look at. Mary talked about her resume and she talked about how many listings she sold and at what price points. And Alana talked about things from like a marketing perspective. She showed up with a bottle of wine that she claimed was like the type of wine that the buyer who will buy this house would drink, which I thought was actually like a really thought-provoking pitch, just because like I would be like, and how do you know that? So I enjoyed listening to all three of their pitches. What I didn't enjoy is that at the very end, we hear that Chelsea has a buyer who's ready to be at the house in 5 minutes and bring them by. And we never get to see that. I loathe that. I hate a lack of continuity in TV shows, and we absolutely should have gotten to see that. I did look this listing up just because I was curious, and it seems like it's never been sold. So like I'm just curious what happened there. And I'm also curious if Jason and Brett can admit that this listing would have done better if they had just put one agent on it to begin with, because ultimately they put Chelsea and Mary on it together. They like Chelsea because she knows the area. They like Mary because she sold houses at their price point. It's annoying. Okay. Like, to be honest, it was a disadvantage in my opinion. And I know nothing about real estate, so I'm just chiming in my opinion. I feel like it's a disadvantage to have two agents on it, especially when they have two completely different styles. Yes, I understand that you would get more access to their contacts, but they can't come to an agreement on how to like try to market the house, because Mary does things like try to consistently undercut Chelsea. So, blah blah blah. Let's get to episode 2. Oh, Chelsea outright says too, which I love. I love how honest Chelsea is. She outright says that she doesn't want to share. She thinks that she could have handled the listing by herself. And Mary pretty much feels the same way, but she's like, like, what did I do? Like, I would like some feedback. Like, bitch, you're just not good enough, Mary. Okay. Like, sorry, Mary. Like, sorry, Mary. Putting two agents on felt really produced, I'm seeing in the chat. And I completely agree. I felt like that was like intentional for them to put the two women who had tension on that same listing. So they would have to host that brokers open together and get those sound bites. So episode 2 is called Who Wears the Pants? And the episode starts with Chriselle and Bree doing some sort of cold plunge together. And Chriselle is initially campaigning for Bree to come back to the office and work a half day. So mind you, in the season prior, Bree walked away from the office. I think it was because of her and Chelsea, but she also claimed it was because she didn't like the splits and didn't like the commissions from Jason. So it was like a number of things. But I always felt like it was annoying that Bree had such a say and so much power in the Oppenheim group when she was so new. Like, I didn't see how many listings Bree sold, but I would be curious as to what that monetary value is that Jason feels like she is so irreplaceable. Because the fact is, Bree was disrespectful at a work event to Chelsea. And I was initially like really surprised that Chriselle was being so kind to Bree. So I know that Chriselle, Chelsea, and Emma are very close. So I'm sure that that's going to change. But probably like everybody else early on, I'm like, Chriselle, what are you doing? Like, Bree is Bree. So the office gets the news about who got the listing, and Alana, who was one of the girls who pitched, she was happy that Chelsea and Mary got the Manhattan Beach listing because she's new, but she wanted everyone to know that she was ready to play. I also want to note that Chriselle and Emma redacted themselves from this listing, and they were like, well, we don't really deserve this, like Chelsea does. So we're not even going to try to compete for it. It's pretty obvious that Chelsea deserves this listing. And that made me appreciate them as friends, because that's what using your privilege looks like. So Chelsea and Emma go see a property in Manhattan Beach that the owner wants to sell for $30 million. Chelsea tells Emma that she could have done the listing that her and Mary got put on by herself. And basically, she's making sure that all of her contacts come to the brokers open. Chelsea tells Emma that she needs some accountability from Mary to move on. And this is in reference to Mary, like I said, going on social media and answering that question and labeling Chelsea as a pot stirrer. And like Mary clearly doesn't have good observation skills because Chelsea and Emma are fine. So why would you think that Chelsea was talking shit about Emma? And are you closer to Emma than Chelsea? Like I don't understand why she's acting like using this veil of trying to protect Emma when really she was just looking for everything that she could have issue with Chelsea. Um and it's really big of Chelsea. Chelsea is always the bigger person in all of these situations, I want to acknowledge. To even say that she would move on with Mary as long as she takes accountability. I feel that same way about Chriselle wanting accountability from Nicole, because these are situations where, granted, I'm not working with someone, I don't have my livelihood, and like contract signed, but these are reasons that I would like not continue a friendship with someone. So they have a lot of grace for people who don't deserve grace from them. Just a reminder, if you're liking this stream, give the video a like just so that other people know that I'm on live. This wasn't scheduled. I mean, it's 2 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, so no one's probably going to hop on, but we'll try to see if we can let the people know. In the chat, it says Mary wants to be in the trio, Chriselle, Emma, Chelsea. She wants to so bad, so bad. And can someone specify if Mary did try to do like a rose gold in the beginning of the season? Her hair had like a pink tint to it, but it was sort of gone by episode 4. It's kind of giving Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Whitney dyeing her hair red and then it fading by episode 3 to try to be different. So Brett visits a property under construction. And basically we hear that there's 6 weeks left until it's finished. And Alana keeps things very honest. She's like, it's more dirt than house. But, I guess I'm seeing the vision. And it seems like Jason really just sort of wants to test Alana and see if because what he says is that this property can show just what an agent can do. So essentially he wants to bring her on this huge project, and her responsibility is going to be doing the landscaping for this house, which is arguably the most exposed lot in Hollywood Hills. It's literally at the bottom of Hollywood Hills, right on the corner of like a major turn. And the way it's sitting now with no landscaping added, you can literally see inside the owner's bathrooms, like as they bathe. So like I said, it's very exposed. Everyone can see in there. So her job is going to be to, I think, get in touch with the city, see what she can plant there, as well as just make sure shit is covered. So that's Alana's responsibility, which is an interesting responsibility since we know that she is marketing. Like I'm curious to see how she handles this. But I think it's a big deal that Brett is giving her this project to work on. I also like Brett so much more than Jason. I can't tell them apart physically at all. Never can. I'll always reference them as the twins. Thing 1, thing 2, twin 1, twin 2. I don't know who's who, but when they start talking, I can quickly tell who's Brett and who's Jason. So Mary shows up to her and Chelsea's Brokers Open. And again, just a reminder, this is for the Manhattan Beach listing. Now, Mary shows up looking like she's just launched a finance podcast and she's having her headshots taken. And yet she has the audacity to have a fashion opinion on anybody there later on in this episode. I also want to point out that Alana dresses like she has old money, and on her, it's like very like Sophia Richie, and on her, it looks very nice, I will say, on Alana. And I'm pointing out what everybody's wearing because of Mary's reaction and selective outrage towards Chelsea specifically. So Alana dresses like she has old money. Her outfit is nice. It's like Mary's, but it actually like fits her well and looks cute. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Chriselle's wearing a black short plaid pair of shorts and a cropped suit top to match. And Emma has on like a tight ruched hot pink dress that makes her look like Margot Robbie. So this is everybody's outfits. And Mary has a problem with nobody's except for Chelsea's when she shows up. Now, Bree also is wearing the same sort of suit as Mary, but it's exposed. You can see her cleavage. And again, this is not a problem to Mary because it's not Chelsea doing it. Now, when Chelsea gets to the party, Mary tells Bree, Chelsea's skirt is short. And the two of them stand there and clutch their pearls and talk about how her ass is out. And Bree's like, it's a no from me. Shut up, Bree. Shut up, Bree. Like, the audacity is shocking, mainly because and I talk about this on my TikTok. Later on in this very episode, Bree is literally talking about, I think, Alana and how she doesn't like her style and how she needs a little more pizzazz. Basically, she's saying she likes to dress a little more risque, which is completely fine. But like, first of all, you have terrible style, Bree. And second of all, you love to dress risque. So like, what's the issue? What's the issue? Bree loves to do exactly what she polices other women, but specifically Black women, doing. Like, she loves to police Black women and yet try to appropriate them. So make it make sense. And Chelsea, this is what I said about Chelsea being the bigger person. Chelsea's very cordial to everybody, but specifically to Bree and to Mary, who don't deserve it. Like, Bree shows up to this Brokers Open. They had the issues that they had last season, and Chelsea gives her a hug, welcomes her, and this is after I said that Bree has already been talking shit about Chelsea. And this is just how fake Bree is, and that's what makes me mad. If you're going to be mean, I want you to stand in that and just be a bitch. Like, I hate when people who are bitchy own that bitchiness only privately and just have constant mess and don't say it to anybody's face. Like, you are a pussy. Like, I hate to use our anatomy as a derogatory term, but I can't think of anything else right now. And I'm also sick, so excuse me for coughing. I've been traveling, and I think I have some allergy stuff going on. So we find out that Alana at this Brokers Open, lots going on. We find out that Alana, this new girl, owns a town in the desert. And then Jason tries to buy it for like 2.2 million. I would like to know how much she did buy her town for, just because owning an entire town does sound extreme. It does. So I'm curious. There are 5 minutes that Chrishell, Chelsea, and Emma go outside and go on Mokies. And if you've never lived in California, or if you don't know what a Mokie is, it's basically like a low riding, doorless Jeep. And it says Mokie on the back. And they come in fun colors. Like, theirs on this scene was pastel pink, but I've seen them in turquoise. I've seen them in like a yellow. So people ride around in them, typically tourists or whatever. But this was cute to do for promoting the event because it draws attention. That's what it is if you get an emoji. You're getting attention. So Chrishell, Chelsea, and Emma leave for 5 minutes to ride in the Moki, take a picture, which, by the way, is there for a reason. And they're basically doing free marketing for this listing, bringing people to this Brokers Open. And Mary is like, where is Chelsea? Like, you know what? Chelsea's promoting this listing. You, on the other hand, have just been gossiping about Chelsea to everybody this entire time, like with your pitchfork going around, like, what do you think of Chelsea's outfit? What do you think of Chelsea's outfit? Be gone, Mary, be gone. And this is why I say that, then Mary says to Jason, people were coming up to me and complaining about Chelsea's outfit, but she doesn't say who, because no one was coming up to you. And if there was a situation like that, Mary pretty much walked up to someone standing there and she was like, I think that Chelsea's outfit is really inappropriate. What do you think? And the person was like, probably thinking like, this bitch is a classic Karen Wasp. I don't really want to keep talking to her. Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So basically Mary says something to Jason and Brett about Chelsea's outfit after she's been going around gallivanting, talking about her this entire listing. And she convinces them to have a conversation with Chelsea. And mind you, Chelsea walks by at one point during her conversation with Brett and Jason where she's talking about her. And at no point does Mary think to herself, you know what, this was inappropriate of me to discuss another woman's body or her outfit. Like, if I really have heard comments like this, like, let me just let her know privately. Or, you know what? Why not? This is how I feel about things. If I have a booger, let me know. If something's wrong with me and I've gone out and I can change it in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, let me know. If you're going to tell me something that makes me uncomfortable for the duration and the rest of this event, then honestly, fuck you. Like, to be honest, like, I don't operate that way. And naively, I expect other people to do the same thing. But that is an example to me, like, for my friends, why even say something that we can't just fix in 5 minutes? If it's not as simple as, oh, like, I realized my, like, our dress is on backwards, like let's fix her up real quick. Like, okay. But like, what do you want her to do? What do you want her to do? Even if it was a problem, what do you want her to do at this moment other than now feel sexualized by you and whomever you've claimed have had these conversations? It's weird. It's very weird. And it's also I was talking about this on my TikTok. It's the fact that Mary is playing respectability politics specifically with Chelsea. Chelsea's wearing a designer outfit. Chelsea looks fabulous. Chelsea is up to dress code, but it's an issue because Chelsea's wearing it. Chriselle is wearing something very similar. Mary can't pull off what Chelsea's wearing, and that's the real issue, okay? But she would still probably wear it, okay? But regardless, her issue isn't that Chelsea's not wearing something nice or that other girls wouldn't be wearing it. It's specifically the fact that Chelsea, a Black woman, is wearing this, and you have decided that you have basically politicized her. You have hypersexualized her, and you have decided that her wearing that means something. And that's a problem. Like, the entire thing was a problem and degrading. So Jason and Brett ask Chelsea what she thinks about toning her outfit down 10%. They can't even clarify what that means. Tone it down 10%? Tone it down? You want me to tone it down 10%? Okay. I think you want me to tone it up 10% because, like, if I'm going to tone something down, I'll rip this shirt right off and then we're in bras and a skirt. What? This vest and skirt. Like, it was inappropriate. He couldn't clarify what he wanted her to fix. One, because he knows it's uncomfortable. This conversation shouldn't have been had. But two, there's nothing wrong with Chelsea's outfit. It's nothing that either of them would have had issue with. Okay. And we know this because later on in the episode, I think it's Jason suggests activities for Chriselle to do where she lifts her arms above her head at the office that would expose her breasts. Mind you, this is at the office, at work, and he's suggesting activities that would expose her. So you don't care about that, Jason and Brett. Okay. So Mary talking to you, you should have used your judgment that Mary clearly, it's like that saying, if you go out looking for trouble, you can find it. Mary goes looking for things to find issues with Chelsea. And even prior to getting to this listing, she decided that Chelsea was going to do things that she wouldn't do or she wouldn't have to put up with if she was the only person on this listing. And she had already decided that because of her privilege and proximity to Jason, because they had a former relationship, she was going to complain to him that you can't convince me otherwise. So Jason and Brett also tell Chelsea that they're in a more conservative part of Los Angeles. And Mary, the initiator of this entire conversation, she decides to take a back seat at this moment. And she's like, well, I do agree. It's a bit short. You're the reason we're having this conversation. So why don't you pipe up and have a say in this? It's also inappropriate. I've always felt this way. Male teachers telling their female students what to wear, or like your dress is too short. Like, why? Ew. Like, why are you even looking? Don't notice me. Okay. So she should have been the initiator and it should have been a private conversation. Her saying that she wants to come to her woman to woman. She doesn't. She wanted to embarrass Chelsea. And it's important to note that Mary spent more time thinking about Chelsea, watching Chelsea, talking about Chelsea, trying to get Chelsea in trouble than she did ever trying to get this property sold. And maybe, here we go, maybe that's why this property still isn't sold, because maybe Mary is still so hyper fixated on watching Chelsea that she can't get this thing sold for the owners. And maybe they should take that into account, that despite her resume, she has a prejudice and she has a disdain towards her co-listing agent. So that's going to be a problem. Let's see. Yes. So Chelsea tells Mary point blank, you could have pulled me aside privately if you really wanted to come to me woman to woman, but you want to throw me under the bus in the same way that you wanted to throw me under the bus when you answered that question about who's the shady or who's the biggest pot stirrer in the office. And I love Chelsea because she does keep things real. Episode 3, cat's out of the bag. So episode 3 starts with Jason bringing Alana to the property that he mentioned, which is under construction. And I already gave a description of what happened earlier. She's basically given the task of landscaping, so we'll skip over that. We see Chriselle ask Amanza if her stylist is coming to her birthday party, because Amanza's having a birthday party. She's invited all of the office, and Chriselle hasn't responded as to whether or not she's coming. Now, the issue is Amanza's stylist, who is still employed for her, has done a very public rant, and I wrote down what they said in Chriselle's words, about Chriselle being a fake lesbian, the relationship with G being fake, G just wanting a green card, and the most inappropriate, she has to get some D in her hole on a very public rant. Okay? And this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. And I want to make it clear that I don't like judging from a community outside of a community that I'm not a part of. So while I am not LGBTQ, I am an ally for LGBTQ. And I want to say that from what I've known and from the education I've done, that it is more hurtful, the fact that he is also a part of that community and tearing down Chriselle and giving people who are openly homophobic ammo or any validity to thinking that she's faking her sexuality for clout. I find that really disheartening. That's just my personal opinion. So she asks if her stylist is coming. Amanza's pretty much like, look, my stylist works for me for free. That's why they're not fired. But yes, they're also coming to the birthday party. Okay. So stop right there. It's not just that they work for you for free. You're still friends with them. And we know this because going back to where I was episode 1, Amanza hung out with Mary, problematic racist Mary, and Nicole, homophobic Nicole. So those are the people who Amanza's hanging out with. So as far as Amanza discontinuing a friendship because of homophobia, I don't think she has shown that that's happening. So it's not surprising that she thinks that there's a reasoning or a rationale to explain her friend's very public rant, and that that's not a deal breaker to her. Now, Amanza claims that she was showed what was written, and she doesn't want to make assumptions. And it's just that doesn't even really make sense to me. So she claims that he showed her what was written, and she doesn't want to make assumptions because she's seen what was written and she didn't hear anything was said about G. So that's either a lie, or now you know that your friend lied to you and did not show you what was released. But I have to say, it's a bit of a disservice to not look into it yourself. Mind you, this was a public rant. Only putting myself in that situation. Friend makes public rant about other close friend. Public. I would look at it on this public platform to see what it is. So Amanza states that she would like to have a conversation with her friend to get all of the facts. And these are things that people say when they try to excuse problematic friends. And again, that is because the behavior of their friends is not a deal breaker to them, but they are concerned about the court of public opinion and facing public repercussions or not being liked because of their friendships. So that's something that they want to consider, it seems like. And Amanza also says that she doesn't want to lose a friendship over this. And it's like, on one hand, I want to echo and add, I hate to ever critique a Black woman. I really hate that. So I don't want to say too much about Amanza. All I'll say is, I do think it's a reason to lose a friendship. I'm trying to have a lot of grace for her because she said she had 2 major spinal surgeries. She almost lost her life. Maybe she's overvaluing these relationships. Like, what if I lose someone? But the reality is, one of your close friends puts out very hateful things publicly. So that's a problem. Chrishell tells Amanza that she won't be there in a space with someone who says things and that she can send Amanza all of the receipts if she wants. Now, I would have said, show me the receipts. Yes. But that's the thing. I would have self-investigated. Not, I'll drag her for you. Yeah, I'll leave the critiques elsewhere. So here, this is huge though. Sophia with an F. I don't even know what her name is because I always call her Sophia with an F because that's her podcast. Sophia from Sophia with an F comes in and sees a listing from Brie. I didn't know she was getting money like that from her podcast. Check in with me in 6 years. Let's see if I'm moving to LA. Just kidding. So yeah, she's basically relocating from her 650 square foot apartment to the West Coast. Can't blame her. Can't blame her. Now, can you get that same square footage in Texas or Ohio for cheaper? Yes. Would you be stuck in Texas or Ohio? Yes. So I thought that was cool. I love a cameo. I like to see that. I was like, oh, okay, I recognize her. A lot of times I don't recognize the people and they have to put on the screen like who they are so that people understand. I knew who she was. Chrishell, Emma, and Chelsea have lunch together and they talk about Amanza's birthday party and how her stylist is going to be there. Chelsea also explains everything that's going on with Mary. And she's pretty much like, listen, Mary talked shit about me because she thought I was talking shit about Emma, which is just not true. And she's made things worse for herself. They also talk about how they have close circles, like the 3 of them, their inner circle, and then their outer circle that they have to work with. Chelsea advises Chrishell to tell Amanza this is an event where she's going to have to support from the sidelines. And I would give the exact same advice. I co-sign that, Chelsea. Now, this is almost like the good versus evil, the good versus the bad. So we've got this lunch going on, the girls I like, Chrishell, Emma, Chelsea, and then simultaneously, Little Bo Peep, aka Nicole, and Pearl Clutcher, aka Mary, go to lunch and talk about Chelsea. And Mary's like, I don't like to co-list unless it's with Jason. K Mary, talk about how you're Jason's favorite anymore, okay? That's because you guys are still weirdly responsible for each other, Mary. And it's weird. We don't get it and we don't like it. It's very strange. And Jason like still very much noticeably loves everybody that he once dated. I can tell he still loves Mary. I can tell he still loves Chrishell. And I'm curious if in all of their relationships, if Jason was the one who ended things or if the women did or what exactly happened there, because they kind of tried to make Jason sound like a playboy. And I'm wondering if he's just been getting dumped and dumped and dumped. So Mary tells Nicole, reputation, blah, 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 blah. I can make or break her business. And Nicole's like, exactly. I completely agree. And then Mary's like, my top priority is work. And instead, she should have been like, my top priority is micromanaging Chelsea, because that would have been the reality of what Mary's top priority is. I think Jason is a triplet. LOL. All three of his personalities in his past relationships. Literally, Jason is like what's that movie? It's like Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, and the girlfriend just keeps showing up. Like Jason is like the living ghost. Like, you thought you were done with me. I'm not. So now let's go to Amanza's birthday party. We get to Amanza's birthday party and we see a cameo from the Selling OC cast members. The only ones who I recognized was Rose, Gio, and Gio's wife. Amanza makes a speech, and this is where we learn, like I said, about her 2 major spinal surgeries she had, and she was 48 hours away from not celebrating another birthday. Chrishell is still in attendance at this party, despite everything I said. Now, we don't know if her and Amanza worked things out. We don't know, and by that I mean if Amanza uninvited her stylist, or if Chrishell was just really like the bigger person and showed up. But I think it's notable to point out that Chrishell attends this party. Now, Nicole's in the corner talking about how she tries to keep things professional at the office, and she likes to let loose when she's drinking. Meanwhile, Nicole's like, Jason, let me pick you up, like flailing around, looking a hot mess. And I'm like, nothing you do is likable, relatable, funny, cute, endearing. Like Nicole, if you have no haters, I must not be alive. Something must have happened to me. Mary pulls Chelsea aside to make sure things are okay. Now, fact check in the comments later on as you watch this video. If it was in fact Chelsea that pulled Mary aside, let me know, because that would be on par with how Chelsea is always the bigger person. However, time and place for things. So I wouldn't blame Chelsea if she said, fuck this bitch. I don't want to talk to her right now anyways. So they start talking, and Emma comes over because she's a good friend and she's providing support. Now, Roman, Mr. Lettuce sees this, and he comes up and he's like embracing Mary, like behind Mary, and giving bodyguard. And he chimes in for no reason at all. No one asked for his opinion. No one wanted his opinion. No one will remember his opinion. Actually, we will, because we didn't need to hear it. So he pretty much is parroting everything that Mary says, to the point where he's talking over Chelsea. So all of this was inappropriate. Insert Nene when she says what she says. Let's see if I can find it really quickly. I think I literally have it in my...
Let me just say this, Greg. This is what you need to do. You need to stay out of women's business.
Okay? You need to stay out of women's business. Okay? Listen to me, Romaine. This is what you need to do. You need to stay out of women's business. Because you shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't have been there. And then it pisses me off when Chelsea's like, so what, do I get a bodyguard? And Mary or her minion is like, well, call your husband. No, go the fuck away. Go away. I think that was such an inappropriate thing that Jason or Brett should have intervened and been like, you don't need to be here for this conversation. And Chelsea tells Mary point blank, your husband didn't need to be involved in this. I wouldn't handle things this way. I feel like I'm being attacked by the two of you. Meanwhile, Emma is like sitting there stoically in the corner, really not saying much. Lettuce needs to stay out of women's business. Exactly. Lettuce needs to let us, women, handle it. Okay? Mr. Lechuga. Yeah, that's right. Lechuga. Yeah, Romaine. This pissed me the fuck off. Oh, and then too, it's important to point out body language. Romaine Lettuce does put his hand on Chelsea's shoulder. First of all, stop. Second of all, I hate when men try to calm women down with physicality. Like, calm down. You're just a mess. Calm down. You're just being a little bit of like a heretic. Shut up. Next scene, Bree goes to lunch with her friend Amanda. Her friend tells her that she has hot tea, that they need to talk about in person. And basically this hot tea is information about Chelsea's husband that neither of them had any business knowing, repeating, talking about, or filming. I find her friend disgusting, and I find all of this disgusting. Bree even says, I don't think I'm the person to tell Chelsea. And yet you tell the world. And before you tell Chelsea. And to be clear, you were never going to tell because Chelsea's came out and thank God with the accountability and just said, like Bree was never going to tell me. I had to schedule a conversation with her. I think that's what her tweet said. And that tracks for Bree and her behaviors. Episode 4 is sitting on a secret. And that's exactly what Bree does. Not because she cares about Chelsea, not because this secret she thought was detrimental, but entirely because she wanted this power to hold over Chelsea. That's my opinion. So the office has this fake lunch together. They talk about how everybody's good, blah, blah, blah. I do like the listing Amanza staged. I said I like the decor and I like to see the houses. The house Amanza staged was really beautiful. Now, at that house, she talks to Jason about Chrishell's text in the group chat about their GLAAD nomination and the alleged dig at Nicole, which I don't feel like was a dig as much as just an acknowledgement of reality, and we basically see Nicole's really long response where she's defending herself again and saying she's not homophobic, blah, blah, blah. And we don't even get to hear or talk about how funny Chelsea's response was, which is basically like, don't talk to me this early in the morning, especially not with this bullshit. Iconic. Chelsea and Mary go to lunch. Guarantee Chelsea was the one to set this up. And as always, she's the big person. She hugs Mary, welcomes her, gives her a compliment. No one can ever say that Chelsea doesn't keep things professional. If you do say that, you're lying. She keeps it cute. Chelsea keeps things cute. Chelsea brings up Amanza's birthday party and how she thought that Mary was pulling her aside to really just take accountability and be like, hey, it was super uncool of me to publicly bash you and assassinate your character on a platform. I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't nice of me. I'm sorry. No. Instead, she's rehashing things with Chelsea. And she basically feels like in her confessional that she has nothing to apologize for. You do. And you have no concept of that, which is why when Mary doubles down and says like she feels like Chelsea starts things more in the office and Chelsea responds and says, well, I'm the only one who keeps things 100%. I think that Chelsea is completely correct in that statement and Mary is out of her mind. Now, Chelsea has to bring up to Mary because Mary, of course, doesn't have the lens to look at the situation and say, it was really inappropriate that Lettuce was behind me during this. And so Chelsea has to bring it up that he didn't need to be there, basically. And mind blown. Chelsea was getting attacked. If we're gonna throw out the word attacked, it will in fact be in reference to the fact that Mary and Mr. Lechuga were attacking Chelsea loudly and confidently. But no, Mary throws it out there and she says that she felt like she was being attacked, basically. And Chelsea has to correct her because this is a huge microaggression. This is very indicative of how you talk about Black women, Mary, when they express anything, really. You can misconstrue that to an attack because of your fragile state that you put yourself in. And to top it all off, Mary then brought on the white woman tears. So Chelsea tells her attacked and Mary apologizes, but then she's crying and making the entire situation about comforting Mary instead of really talking about the fact that Mary went on a tirade to bash Chelsea. And it lasted for a couple of weeks. And she got a lot of people involved in that for no reason at all. Okay. And again, Chelsea's the bigger person. I mean, if this was a poem, the line that I'd always be going back to is, and Chelsea is a bigger person because she hugs Mary goodbye. She comforts Mary. And I just know that it's bullshit because I don't trust Mary. I don't. And I've already seen that later on in the season, I have even further reason to be annoyed with her. So this episode, we end up seeing Maya, and we get an update from Maya. She was on early seasons of Selling Sunset, and we know that she now has her own brokerage, and she's in LA for like trying to pitch something to her clients who are out here. And on top of that, she's still a full-time mom. Maya is busy and working. Bree, Chriselle, Maya, and Emma go to dinner essentially, or go to some sort of lunch. Maya asks if commissions have changed. Of course they haven't. I knew what that answer would be before they even said it. And Bree says that she isn't a girl's girl, where I've never heard a truer statement echoed in my life. At least you're self-aware. I didn't need Chriselle to chime in with how she is in fact a girl's girl, but I think that these moments where Chriselle gave Bree the benefit of the doubt to then turn around and be probably so duped by the end of this series is why they included that. Because Chriselle was very much like, for Bree until it was clear that Bree is a manipulative bitch. Because you see her say, "You're such a good friend. Like you would never do that to people in your life." And the music's like dun 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 because we know what she's doing. Like I said earlier, these Chriselle, Chelsea, they give so much more grace than I would. She brings up how she really just wanted accountability from Nicole instead of her going into her victim mentality, claiming that she was being bullied. And in the next scene, we see Nicole. And Nicole goes to look at a listing with Alana. And this was hilarious because Alana just, like I said, I'm liking Alana. I've seen nothing to dislike her so far. She is looking at this listing with Nicole. She's aware of the tension. She's hung out with Chriselle. And she basically says, yeah, like I've hung out with Chriselle. As Nicole is being nosy to see who she's already friends with. She's doing that, by the way, to see how much shit she could talk about Chriselle in front of this girl. But she's like, I feel like people are scared to like talk about her around me. I think they're just scared of you. And she tells her straight to her face, I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. This is your drama and her drama. And so for that, I like Alana. I like someone who says something right to your face. And Nicole sure did try to get someone else on her little army, and it was a failed attempt. Now, the episode ends with Maya coming into the office to see how everyone's doing, and drama unfolds. Basically, Chriselle and Nicole have a conversation, and Chriselle is saying, again, all she wants is some accountability. If she gets some accountability for either being homophobic or adding to the hate that Chriselle was getting for her sexuality, she can move past things. But Nicole couldn't do this. And her and Mary take pages out of each other's book because first she defends herself and then she deflects with her white woman tears and makes the situation about her. Now, Nicole does step away, but Nicole needs to needs to watch Deconstructing Karen to really realize the impact of what her crying did to that moment and why it ruined the sincerity of that. Because you know what, Nicole? I really don't feel like it's appropriate to tell someone in an apology. I just need you to hear this. I just need you to understand. When people say that to me, I know I'm being manipulated. You don't need me to understand. You need forgiveness. You need me to not ask questions that I'm having, and you need me to abandon myself in order to comfort you. That's what you need in this moment. And I wish to God Chriselle didn't hug that girl because she doesn't deserve it. Now, fast forward, we know the production drama. We know that I think Chriselle outright says she's not going to work with Nicole again because Nicole can't help herself. She's going to start rumors later on this series, but I can't stand Nicole. I can't stand Bree. Nicole, Bree. Who was the other person? Nicole, Bree, and Mary. Nicole, Bree, and Mary. All three of you are pissing me off. All three of you. So those are the first 4 episodes I've watched. I'm really enjoying the show. I am going to be doing another live not now because I need to rest my throat, but probably later on today. I'll try to schedule it so that everybody knows. But I'm going to do another live talking about secret lives of Mormon wives. I also need to talk about Tell Me Lies season 2. Trigger warning, if you watch the first 2 episodes, there is an SA in the end of the second episode. It was very hard to watch, so please be aware of that. Also, please be aware that this season of Selling Sunset has a lot of triggers, a lot of microaggressions, and a lot of like underlying racism that is hard to watch. So if at any point you decide you want to stop watching the show, you can count on me to provide you recaps. If at any point you decide it just doesn't feel healthy to watch anymore, just know that I completely understand that and respect that. And most importantly, prioritize your mental health and your safety and your well-being. Happy Sunday! Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for coming back to me. Thanks to everybody who was on this live. Please give me a like. K-Dior, thank you for holding things down. It's been me and you, baby, this entire time. And you got me through this whole episode. So thank you for chiming in. Thank you for chatting with me. And it's a damn shame that those white tears work every time. But every time they work, we'll be talking about it. We'll be talking about it. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Sunday.